women out there who take care of me and everybody else. I'm thinking of you and send you best wishes on Mother's Day and always.
Wishing everyone out there a happy Mother's Day. We miss you.
Happy Mother's Day to all. Hope to see you real soon. Have a good day.
Xin chào, nhân ngày lễ mẹ, xin thay mặt cho Trung tâm Cao niên Worcester kính chúc tất cả các bà mẹ, các chị, các dì, các cô, các thím và các em và những người phụ nữ được một ngày lễ mẹ thật hạnh phúc và vui tươi trong sự bảo vệ từ ái của tình thương mà mẹ dành cho chúng ta. Cảm ơn.
Happy Mother's Day to all. I miss all my mamas. Gazurditen and nanas. Y feliz Día de la Madre.
祝福天下所有的母亲们，今天母亲节快乐！希望我们早日再见面。
Happy Mother's Day. We miss you. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Happy Mother's Day. Also want to say Happy Mother's Day to mothers of furry friends and also those special aunties out there. Happy Mother's Day. Hope to see you soon.
Happy Mother's Day to you and all the important women in your life. I hope you are enjoying the Worcester Senior Center Stay Connected programming. We at the Worcester Senior Center are so fortunate to have a close relationship with Tower Hill Botanical Gardens. Thank you, Tower Hill Botanical Gardens, for sharing your educational videos with our seniors. A Mother's Day treat for you. Immediately following this message, stay tuned for the following Tower Hill videos: How to compost at your home, Houseplant Heroes, History of Victory Gardens in Worcester, and Creating a Cut Flower Garden. Stay safe, stay well, and happy Mother's Day from all of us at the Worcester Senior Center.
Hey everybody, it's Grace, and today I wanted to show you about compost. It's one of my very favorite things. Ask my husband on our very first date, I actually talked about compost. I have a 3-bin system here in my backyard. You can see that it's made out of pallets, and we've got the front of one of these off. We've just attached a little door on the front of each bin with these easy to remove hinges of this. It's in my kitchen at all time. And as I'm preparing dinner, I will put things like eggshells and banana peels and any kind of veggie scraps like that in this. It's great, it has a filter so it doesn't smell at all. And then when it's full, I just come and dump it outside in my bin. So after this is broken down quite a bit, usually it'll shrink pretty quickly, so about twice a year, we will then take the front off and with a pitchfork scoop it into the next bin. This bin has been breaking down for quite a while, and I've got some really nice good stuff. Come closer, take a look. So it's pretty much soil at this point, but you can see it's really chunky. It's got some big sticks in it because we not only put veggie scraps in our compost, we also put any kind of yard waste, because it's really important to have both green and brown when you're making compost. The green provides nitrogen, and that's basically grass clippings, anything from your kitchen would be green. Brown is like mulch, leaves mostly, and then anything else. So just think you need a combination of green and brown to make really good compost, because you want carbon and nitrogen. The problem is they break down at different rates. So we have the brown here that hasn't broken down as quickly, but the green has really broken down. So you can't really use this in your garden bed right away. It's just not as nice. So what you do is then screen it. We made a beautiful screener this morning. So we just used some scrap lumber that we had, formed it into a frame with these brackets, and then put hardware cloth on top. We used 1/2-inch hardware cloth, but you can use 1 inch as well. I wouldn't really go any bigger than 1 inch, and 1/2 inch is kind of a little small. It takes a little effort to get the material through. We measured it so it fits exactly on one of the other bins. So we started there with the fresh kitchen waste, We let it decompose for about a year, really. After 6 months in there, we moved it over here. It's been in here for 6 months. Now we're ready to strain it. Let's see what this looks like. And you see it's really chunky. So first, I just kind of pick through and pull out the bigger sticks. And then I start working the compost. And I'm just getting it so it's broken down. I'm pushing it through the screen. This is just getting all those clumps broken down. Now all of this, what I'll do is I've got a bucket to the side. I'm just putting it in the bucket and then I'll put it back in bin 1 and let it break down a little bit more. Eventually this will turn into soil, but not today. Let's see what we've got. Now, this whole bin was sifted today. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? Everything's the same size. We can put this straight into a container. I can use it in my vegetable garden. I can repot my houseplants. Compost is really, really rich in nutrients, and it also holds water really well, so you're not gonna have to water your plants as much. That's what we've been doing today, playing in the dirt, so to speak, and we're having a really great day, and I'm really excited about all this beautiful compost.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in today. My name's Marissa, and today we're going to learn a little bit about houseplants. So plants are fantastic to have in your house. I myself have over 20. They provide a lot of benefits. They can make you happier, they can make you calmer, reduce your stress, and they even clean the air for you so they can help you breathe better in your home and reduce your allergies and sicknesses and colds. So as most of you I'm sure know, plants take in a special kind of gas that we breathe out. Does anybody know what it is? Carbon dioxide, you got it. So plants will take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen, which is super important because that's what we breathe. So plants are really, really awesome to have in your home for so many different reasons. So today I'm going to show you some of my favorite houseplants and tell you a little bit about them. And the first step to ever taking care of a houseplant is to give your plant a name and a personality. So as you can see today, some of my favorite plants have decided to make an appearance, and being the kind plants that they are, they've even made name tags for themselves today. So we are going to start off here with Pete, the philodendron, who even has a little gnome hanging out with him today. So these are one of my favorite plants because they're very easy to take care of, and they create these long trailing vines that you can drape all over your home. Add a little extra greenery. These guys like bright indirect sunlight, so that means you want to put them in a window or near a window that gets a good amount of sun, but the sun's not shining directly through that window all day. The same goes for my next friend over here, Fred, the fiddle leaf fig. He grows these awesome, waxy looking leaves. And just like Pete, Fred also likes bright indirect sunlight. Next is Pam, the ponytail palm. This plant is really cool because it can actually go for a long time without being watered. It has this little stump looking part down here that stores water inside. So even if you forget to water poor Pam, like I sometimes do, she will still be able to grow and thrive for a long while because she has this little spot that stores water. It's one of her adaptations. My next plant is Zephyr, the ZZ plant. Now, if you have animals at home or younger siblings who like to chew on things that they're not supposed to, this would not be the plant for you, because this plant is actually dangerous and can be poisonous to animals. Luckily, my dogs do not eat my plants. But if you don't have anything like that in your house and you're just looking for an easy plant to take care of, this one is for you. These plants don't need a lot of light and they don't need a lot of water. So they're very easy for somebody who's just starting out. I hope you guys enjoyed meeting some of my favorite houseplants today. They sure had a good time meeting you. But I did save the best for last. This right here is Sam the snake plant. Sam likes long walks on the beach, sunsets, fireflies, kittens. He really loves to skateboard, snowboard. He's very active. But what makes Sam so special to me is the fact that he is so easy to take care of. Sam is one of the first plants that I got, and I've had him for a long time now. And these plants are really good for somebody who's just starting out with houseplants and is kind of worried that they might not be able to keep them alive. These plants like low light, they really don't need a lot, and they don't need a lot of water either. So if you're very forgetful, like I am, great plant to start off with. So now we're gonna take a little tour around the world, and we're gonna check in with some of my friends, and they're gonna introduce us to some of their favorite houseplants and tell us a little bit about them. Let's see what they have to say.
Hi guys, I'm Adam. I live in Los Angeles. Let me introduce you to Sally. Sally, come here. Come here, get on camera. She's being shy. Here. That is Sally. She is a beautiful fiddle leaf fig. Her name is Sally because I was FaceTiming with my 5-year-old nephew, and when she came on the screen, he says, "That's Salarina." And I said, "Yep, that is." And so now her name is Sally. Anyway, she has a beautiful, long, slender trunk and voluptuous foliage. She actually came to Los Angeles to be in pictures, but since she moved in with us, she's really taken a liking to just looking out this window and spying on our neighbors. Her favorite thing to do is get spritzed weekly, like this. Nice and happy. So anyways, yeah, that's Sally.
Hi, I'm Courtney from Massachusetts, and this is my pothos plant, Pat's. This is Pat, and that's Pat as well. All these plants came from this original parent plant. When it grew too long, I cut it and propagated it. Check out the roots. So Pat's favorite things are sunbathing, but not too much sun, hanging out with friends, and listening to light jazz.
Hi, I'm Emma from Massachusetts, and I'm going to show you my favorite plant. This is Angela. She is a string of pearls succulent, and her favorite thing to do is hang out with all of her friends.
Hi everyone. I'm a Hoya heart plant, and my name is Pasquale. I live in Brooklyn, New York, with my best friend Bowie. She's a cat. We like to hang out together and soak in the sun by the windowsill. It's our favorite, especially when we do it together. I hope you're all having a great day and able to soak up some sunshine wherever you are. Bye!
Hi everyone, it's Brooke from Salt Lake City, Utah, here to introduce you to my favorite houseplant, Henry. Henry has been my plant for over 10 years, which is why he's my favorite. Henry is a spider plant, which is easy to remember just because he kind of looks like a spider. His leaves jut out just a little bit like spider legs. So something interesting about Henry is he can actually have babies, which is what this is. So a long shoot will shoot out and it will actually feed the babies, and they grow right here like this on the end. You can take the babies off and put them in some soil and it will actually grow a new plant, which is what I did with this one. So it's a fun way you can share Henry with your friends.
My name. You
Go.
say my name.
Hi, my name is Kayla, and this is Bennett. And
No, Superman.
This is Superman, and we're from Massachusetts.
And he likes to watch Batman.
And this plant loves to watch Batman. This is our favorite plant, the aloe plant, because it's easy to take care of. And the plant has aloe in it for when we get sunburns.
Yeah.
And what's the plant's name again?
Nala.
Nala. This is Nala the aloe plant. Okay, bye. Say bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, I'm Hunter, an outdoor gardener at Tower Hill, and I'm here today with one of my favorite plants. This is a Streptocarpus Hawaii party, otherwise known as a Cape primrose. And this plant is one of my favorites because it does very well under low light, producing lots of leaves and lots of flowers. And it brings back great memories of going to Logi's for the day where I picked this guy up.
Hi, my name's Gus, and I'm from Massachusetts, and this is my friend Pineapple Pete. He's my favorite plant. We like making pizzas together. We enjoy going for walks. He's my favorite plant, unlike my buddy Cactus Jack over here. Can be a little rough around the edges sometimes, but you know, me and Pete, we've just been hanging out, you know, doing puzzles, you know, other things beginning with P, pineapples, puzzles. That's it, you know. So that's me, Gus and Pineapple Pete. Hope you had a good day. And only you can prevent forest fires.
My name is Todd, and I live in Los Angeles, California, and I'm going to introduce you to my friend Sheila. This is Sheila. She is a ponytail pom, and I've had her for 7 years now. She has beautiful hair. And she loves this window. Her favorite memory is taking a road trip to California from Massachusetts.
Hi, I'm Mochi from Hawaii. My favorite plant is Aloha, the aloe vera plant, because her leaves help my humans when they get too much sun. Aloha likes to sunbathe under the Hawaiian sun.
Hi, my name's Elena. I'm Tower Hills librarian, and I live in Worcester, Massachusetts. My favorite houseplant is penguin. Penguin is a butterwort, which is a kind of carnivorous plant that has sticky leaves to attract insects. Penguin's full scientific name is Pinguicula morinensis.
Hi, my name is Penguin. I like to attract friends so I can eat them.
Hi everybody, my name is Trisha, and today I want to introduce you to my plant, Susie. So this is Susie. She loves sitting in the sun and basking in all of its glory. And these are all of Susie's babies. Susie is a great mother, and she loves taking care of all of her kids. And someday soon, all of her babies are going to move out, and they're going to get planted in their very own pot with soil, just like Susie.
Hi, I'm Sarah from Worcester. This is Alfred and Freddie. Alfred is my favorite plant. Alfred's an aloe plant. He's really good for your skin. Alfred's favorite things to do are hang out with Freddie and watch the water and see all the boaters go by. He loves reading and taking in as much sun as he can.
Hi friends, my name is Erin. I live in Ayer, Massachusetts, and I'm here to tell you today about one of my favorite plants.
This plant is very popular around the world because they come in every color except true black, and there are many different types and sizes. There are over 25,000 different species of them around the world. Do you know what the name of this plant is?
I'm here today to introduce you to my friend Ophelia the orchid. Orchids are a tropical plant which come in a variety of different colors. And one of the reasons that she is my very, very favorite house plant is that when I first got her, she was in the trash. I found her. Somebody left her at my work in the trash. And I said, you know something? I think she just needs a little bit of love. So I brought her home. She only had leaves when I first got her, and it looked like a bunch of dead stems on top. But I gave her some love, and I gave her some water and plenty of sunlight, and she started to grow again. So she's one of my very favorite plants because I brought her back to life, and she has been producing these beautiful, beautiful flowers. Look at those. And she has even grown a brand new stem. These are all new flowers that are going to start growing soon.
Hi everyone, my name is Kyle, and I want to talk to you about my awesome favorite plant. This is my asparagus fern, and it's my favorite plant because if you get really down low, it kind of feels like you're in the jungle. It creates these little shelves of ferns, and I think it is really cool when I can lay down in bed and look up and feel like I'm looking up at the top of a forest.
Thanks for sharing your plant stories with us, everybody. I heard a lot of interesting facts and met a lot of really cool plants and people along the way. So I hope that you all are now inspired to take care of your own houseplant at home. It is very, very easy, and all you really want to do is to research your plant, do a little digging, and find out what your plant really likes in order to have it be happy and healthy in your home. And even if you don't think you're quite ready, you can start off with a fake plant, treating it just like it's a real plant, giving it sun and water every day. when you think you're ready, you can graduate to a real plant. And even if you can't get a plant in your home, maybe you just don't have the space or you're not ready again, look right outside your window, find an interesting plant, maybe a tree, maybe a flower, and give it a name. Check in on that plant every day and see how it's doing. So I hope you all had fun today on our journey. Make sure to share your houseplant stories with us, and I hope to see you all soon.
Welcome. My name is Erin Doolittle, and I'm a gardener at Tower Hill Botanic Garden. I'm going to be explaining to you how to create a cut flower bed. For 3 years, in a suburban lot outside of Boston, I grew flowers for a CSA and created bouquets from them. Your first question when you consider planting a cut flower bed might be, why should I when I can just buy flowers? It takes work and some money, but growing your own cut flower garden is fun and deeply rewarding, like all gardening. And if you're a regular purchaser of bouquets from florists or the grocery store, you'll be spared that expense for the growing season. There are other reasons to grow your own. You can grow what you love. Your flowers are fresher and more beautiful than what you can buy. You can wallow in an amazing abundance of fresh flowers, and you can lower your carbon footprint because most flowers that you get from the florist and from grocery stores are flown in from distant places. Good cut flowers are distinguished by certain characteristics. There are exceptions, and you should experiment, but especially in the beginning, it's a good idea to stick with what works. Typically, they have long, strong stems. They have a good vase life, at least 5 days. They add something, color, shape, fragrance, a quality like whimsy or elegance. They are free of strong or bad odors, and they don't shed pollen or petals overly. They are tidy. You can incorporate cut flowers into your perennial beds, or you can create a bed exclusively for them. I'm going to discuss creating a separate bed. Including cuts in a perennial bed is simply that, integrating annuals that are good for cutting into your perennial borders. The benefit of a separate bed is that you don't feel guilty cutting the flowers, and you don't have to worry about the aesthetics when you design, unless you want to. But don't worry, a cut flower bed is a riot of gorgeousness. You also have a choice between perennials or annuals. You can do both, but I would consider keeping them separate if you do. Annuals are season long, basically from July through October. Annual beds can be changed up every year. Annuals are generally brighter and bolder. Perennials are subtler in their beauty, and perennials will last for several or many years. The creation of a cut flower bed is similar to that of any other garden bed. In the case of a cut flower bed, though, you really want more than 6 hours sun a day, and you want to avoid a very windy site because flowers for cutting are generally more than 2 feet tall. Otherwise, make sure you choose a site that has good drainage and can be easily watered. Cut flower gardens, because they are more densely planted, and at least if it's an annual garden, single season, need to be kept well watered. This is the site that I used. It is a strip of my neighbor's yard, actually, that ran alongside our driveway. It had more sun than I could get within my own yard, and it had easy access to water. The spigot was right across from the driveway. The bed was 4 feet wide by about 60 feet long, and I had 1,000 plants in there. All my neighbor asked was that I returned it to grass after I was finished, which I did. Consider getting a soil test. You can find instructions for that on the website of UMass Extension. They do the testing. If your soil is average, you can merely add an inch or two of compost and dig it in. If your soil is nutritionally depleted, add several inches. The easiest way to do that is to do it in the fall prior, where you just lay that compost down, and then in the next spring, when you plant, that's enough turning it in. You don't need to dig it in, essentially. If you're doing it in the spring, go ahead and turn that in and mix it with the soil that's already there. You may need to correct the pH. It's unlikely, but if you do, consult with your local garden center, and they can tell you how and what you need to do. This is New England, so you are likely to encounter a lot of rocks as you dig. Maybe you can build a stone wall at the same time and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Turn the soil to about 1 foot depth, essentially the depth of a shovel or fork. It can be laborious the first time you dig this bed. If it was grass, you will need to remove that layer first. You don't want to mix it in. The easiest way I found to dig grass is to shave it off with a flat shovel just below the roots. When it comes to laying out the bed, you want to maximize sun exposure and your ease of access. A cut flower bed is densely planted, so it's important to be able to reach in there and get weeds and cut. You want to plant a rectangle that's no more than 4 feet wide. You want your tallest plants to the back, in other words, the northern edge, so that the taller plants don't block sun for the shorter plants. You could consider short paths across the bed or stepping stones within the bed to make it easier for you to get in there and do what you need to do. Here's an example of a simple layout for a cut flower bed. It's got the taller plants, the sunflowers, to the northern edge. It's along an east-west axis to maximize sun exposure, and it's about 4 feet wide. A simple tool to help you design is to create a scale in your drawing where, say, 1/4 inch equals a foot or 1/2 inch equals a foot. And that is represented by the grid that I have in this drawing and in the prior drawing. That allows you to determine how many plants per foot you're going to need. You have options when planting. You'll get a much better selection of flowers through seed catalogs. Or you can purchase plants, or you can do a combination. When it comes to purchasing plants, there are pros and cons. First and foremost, it's easy. The plants are further along. You have less selection if you purchase your plants, but you could still create a beautiful and productive cut flower bed. The quality isn't always as good, especially from the big box stores. Seeds are more eco-friendly unless you're buying from a local nursery, CSA, or farmer's market. If you grow from seeds, some seeds should be started indoors and some directly into the ground. You can find resources online and through seed companies and nurseries on how to grow seeds. You may be able to find a farmer or a friend who can grow them for you. You will have to pay, but it will be less money than buying full-grown plants. If you direct sow, some seeds are better sown before frost and some after. You want to follow the directions on the seed packet. Don't forget to label your rows. Don't forget to thin. You're going to sow them at a thicker rate than the final rate because the germination might not be perfect, and then you thin them out to the separation that they are supposed to be. And that is all on the packet in the directions. You want to maintain even moisture through the germination period, which can be from 2 days to 2 weeks. Basically, you don't want the ground to dry out, but you don't really need to soak it either. Here's a list of flowers that are best direct sown. I would investigate all these flowers and see what you like and choose the ones that you like. They're all good cut flowers. Pincushion flower is not Nigella species, it is scabiosa. If you are able to find someone to grow your seed for you and you can purchase seedlings from them, the benefit of that is that you can still grow what you want and you can decide. You can purchase the seeds and they can grow them for you. Typically they will have been hardened off, but you need to find out. If you need to harden them off yourself, that's a process of acclimating them to the outdoor environment, and they're going to need to go out for a few hours every day in the beginning, and then over the course of a week you leave them outside more and more, and then you bring them back inside overnight, and eventually you leave them outside completely, and then you can plant them. When it comes to maintaining your garden, your primary considerations are going to be keeping it weeded and keeping it watered. Keeping your garden well weeded, especially when your plants are young, is important so that they don't have to compete for nutrients. Your garden will likely need to be watered every day. You can lay down a simple system of soaker hoses, or you can do it by hand yourself. Spend a good amount of time doing this. Give it a good soak. You should be able to feel moisture an inch below the surface with your finger. One condition you've probably seen is powdery mildew. This is what it looks like. It's very common, and it is not a comment on your skills as a gardener. The good news is that it only affects the leaves, not the flowers. The treatment for powdery mildew must be preventative. You can find homemade remedies online, and as soon as you see it, you want to apply it to all the other plants that could be affected by it. It typically affects cosmos, zinnias, monarda, and phlox, as well as peonies. It can be recognized by the white fuzz on both sides of the leaves, and it thrives in warm, dry weather. The good news is you can still strip the leaves and use the flowers in your bouquets. Start at the end when it comes to choosing what to grow. What kind of bouquets do you envision? Many small bouquets or a big booming bouquet for an entrance hall? What colors do you love? What shapes? What feel? Do you prefer big, bold flowers like dahlias or flowers with a wildflower look like cosmos? Let the answers dictate your flower choices. This is a list of tried and true annuals for a cut flower bed. They all come in different colors and varieties with shape and size and so forth. You really can't go wrong if you choose this group of flowers. This slide shows a collection of different cosmos and zinnias, which are two annuals that do not ship well, so they're better grown at home locally. They're great choices for your cut flower bed. Two other flowers that provide great variety and color are celosia and gomphrena. They come in different colors and different shapes. The gomphrena is basically the ball shape and very bright colors. The celosia has 3 different types of flower heads, and they're wonderful cut flowers as well and very productive. This list of perennial stalwarts will give you bloom from late spring through the fall. This slide shows some perennials that will cover the season for you. You've got columbine in the lower middle row, and that is an early spring bloom. The roses are late spring, the aster is late fall, yarrow is fall, and phlox on the lower right-hand corner is a midsummer bloom. Herbs can be beautiful in bouquets. They offer texture and fragrance, and sometimes flowers. Fennel, lovage, and dill are examples of herbs that make great filler with their lacy texture. Allium flower heads come in many shapes and sizes. You can extend your cut flower season earlier by using tulips and daffodils that you plant the prior fall. Tulips and daffodils come in early, mid, and late. That would be late March, April, and May. Generally speaking, the larger the tulip or daffodil, the later it is. You can consider fragrance, and I would consider unusual varieties and just experiment and have fun with it. When it comes to planting them in a production bed like this, they can almost touch when they're planted. You want to plant them deeply, especially the daffodils, so that they're not damaged by the digging if you're intending to leave them. I would plant the tulips and daffodils separately because the tulips should be dug up, and you should plant fresh tulips every year because they diminish over the years. They don't look as good from year to year. Here are just a few examples of tulips and daffodils in their variety and color and shape. You may decide you want to create dried flower bouquets. You can grow specifically for that, or at the end of the season, when you're ready to shut your garden down, you'll still have some flowers, and you may choose to dry those flowers. So I'll give you some pointers for doing that. Here's a selection of flowers that are good for dried bouquets. These are also flowers that are great in non-dry bouquets, regular cutting flowers. You could start with using them in your bouquets, your regular bouquets, and then save some for drying as well. I'm not an expert on drying flowers, so I'm just giving you some general tips. If you want more information, you can Google it. There are some special procedures for drying flowers beyond just hanging them upside down. You can also look in the library for books. In general, though, you want to pick in the late morning after the dew has dried, but before the heat picks up. Moisture will cause mold. That is also why you want to hang them upside down in a dark and dry area. New England basements are generally too wet and damp. You're better off with the attic. You want to pick them when they're perfect. With regular bouquets, you sometimes want to pick them a little earlier than that, but with dried flowers, if you're planning to dry them, you want to pick them when they're in full bloom and not past. You want to remove the foliage, gather them into bunches, and fasten that with a rubber band, and then hang them upside down. bouquet, in terms of harvesting your flowers, there's some general guidelines to follow. You want to cut when the temperature is below 80 degrees if it's possible. You want to cut an 18-inch stem to give yourself flexibility. And when you do that, you may have more blooms on that stem than you want, or some blooms might be past, and then some are perfect, and then some are early. Just clean up the stem to make it what you want to be. Take off the old blooms and anything that's crowding your arrangement. You want to put them directly into lukewarm water. You want to keep them out of direct sunlight, and try to avoid cutting when the plants are wet. If that's not possible, dry them with a gentle fan, and don't put them into a cooler if you have a cooler. Don't put them in damp. Your refrigerator is not the right temperature, so don't refrigerate your flowers. When you go to create your bouquets, always use a clean vase and clean water. Remove any leaves that will be in the water. They create bacteria. In designing, hold your flowers in one hand and add to the bouquet with the other hand. You want to hold it and don't think about the lengths of the stems as you're creating the bouquet. And then once you've got your bouquet, how you like it, then go and with your scissors angled, cut the stems to an even length at an angle so that they can better absorb the water. And you want to change the water and recut the stems every few days. Use sharp pruners or scissors if those will be enough. The next few slides are going to have some bouquets that I created for the CSA, and I just thought it would be nice to give you an example showing you the different flowers that I used. This one has cosmos, zinnia, amaranthus. That Y is incorrect, ignore the Y. Daucus, ageratum, and salvia. These bouquets contain annual rudbeckia, the little sort of miniature brown-eyed Susans. That's Rudbeckia triloba. It's very prolific, and it will also self-seed. They also contain amaranthus, zinnia, globe amaranth, which is gomphrena, the bright purple dots there, marigold, ageratum, salvia, artemisia, which is a textural element, gray silver, and dahlias. I've used ferns to edge this bouquet. Not all ferns like this. They'll, curl up and wilt, but some will accept it, and you just have to experiment with that. I've also done the same thing with hosta leaves, which actually make a very good cut leaf. The other plants in this particular bouquet are cosmos. I see nigella, the frilly blue flower, and then the little more dot-like blue flower is an ageratum. There's zinnias in there, there's gomphrena, and there's cleome, which is also known as spider flower. These bouquets contain much the same flowers. They've got cosmos, the bright orange. They've got ageratum, the light blue. The other blue flower, the darker, more star-shaped one, is nigella. And it's also got cleome. And on the right-hand side is cosmos and a flower called Irish poet, tassel flower, which is the orange. And then it's got zinnias. If you look at the zinnias, you see the leaves are slightly curled over. That's the correct time to cut zinnias, a little before they're fully open, and then they open in the vase. The larger sort of blousy white flower on the lower right-hand side of the bouquet is a hydrangea, a limelight hydrangea. They make wonderful cut flowers also. Here are more examples of the bouquets that I made for the CSA. They contain the flowers that I've already mentioned, and the large yellow flowers that look like brown-eyed Susans kind of are Rudbeckias, also annual Rudbeckia. When it comes to design, I would encourage you to be creative and expressive. Just try different things, do what you want. There are some design basics that can help you have success. One of them is grouping things together. So taking a like flower, like a rose or any flower, and making a little group of it and next to another little group of a different flower. And then I would encourage you to vary your textures and your shapes within that so that you maybe have something sticking up and something that's kind of all fuzzy, and something more sort of solid and defined next to that. There is a concept called thriller, filler, and spiller that's used in arrangements, and it's also used in the arrangement of containers. And it's very successful. So that would be a flower that's, sticking up and eye-catching, then something else that's kind of a bulk filler in the middle, and then something else that comes over the side, that acts like an ivy or looks that way, something that will kind of fall down over the sides. But for all of this, the purpose is to have fun, to enjoy yourself, to enjoy the beauty and joy of flowers. So I would just encourage you to use your creativity and do what you want and don't feel constrained. Thanks a lot for listening, and I hope you got something out of it.
Hi, I'm Elena. I'm the librarian at Tower Hill Botanic Garden, and I'm here today to talk to you about victory gardens. A lot of people are starting to garden this year, and a lot of people are referring to those gardens as victory gardens, but not everyone might know the history of victory gardens in Worcester. War gardens were actually first a thing in the First World War. In the First World War, though, they were more about growing produce to support the civilians and soldiers overseas. During the interwar years, lots of people kept gardening through the Depression, for obvious reasons, but then victory gardens really became a huge movement during World War II. We think of victory gardens as individual efforts, but a lot was done communally. Many programs were organized where experienced gardeners could offer advice, in person, but also through newspaper columns or radio programs, which, as a millennial, I like to think of as the podcasts of the day. Advice included how to lay out a garden, how large a garden was needed to produce all of the vegetables for a family, and what to grow to make the best use of the space you had, plus tips on things like how to prevent or remove pests. As this cartoon from the era shows, however, not everyone appreciated this wonderful advice. Other classes and resources focused on canning and preserving what you grew in your garden for the winter months. This isn't discussed as much in the popular conception of victory gardens, but it was an essential part of the effort. As people who have had big gardens before can attest, it's easy to get overwhelmed at harvest time with how much fresh produce you have. Preserving some or most of it for later meant that they could have vegetables all winter long. It's also related to the rationing effort. Metal was needed for the war effort, meaning it was hard to access mass-produced canned goods. The rationing that was in place also restricted access to a lot of common foodstuffs. It's also important to remember that this was before most people had any kind of freezer in their home. Blanching vegetables and freezing them is pretty straightforward, but that wasn't an option then. People had to do more actual canning in jars, which takes a lot of equipment and skills. The Preserving and Canning Committee in Worcester had Girl Scouts go door to door, surveying who had the kitchen resources to do canning and who needed access to someone else's kitchen to be able to put up foods. All of this was organized through a set of committees that included many members of the Worcester County Horticultural Society, which is the parent organization of Tower Hill Botanic Garden, plus people involved in local politics, college professors and other teachers, and more. Many of the committees were, mostly if not entirely male, but women were involved too, especially on the canning and preserving side.
The committees also organized spaces for people to garden. We think of victory gardens as backyard gardens, but in addition to individual or family gardens on private property, there were things like organizational gardens at churches, at schools, or at employers. Worcester State Hospital had a victory garden for its employees, and the Norton Company, which is now St. Gobain, had a place called Libby Farm where staff could garden. The newsletter here shows how much of a thing this effort was at the Norton Company. Community gardens were also really important. These often were in parks or other open space. Sometimes they were on private estates that donated land to be used for this cause. Some of the community gardens were open to anyone, and some of them were specifically designated as children's gardens so that kids could learn about how to grow vegetables. Obviously, a lot of these depended on in-person contact, which we don't have right now, but there are still a lot of takeaways that can apply to our current situation. For instance, today, there are lots of resources online, including how-to videos and other tutorials. You can use these resources to figure out what crops make the best use of the space that you have, find out how to prevent pests and diseases, and plan ahead to freeze or otherwise preserve what you're growing. You can also take advantage of things like the Wisdom Wednesdays on the Tower Hill Instagram to ask your questions to our plant experts. Thanks for watching, and happy growing.
Happy Mother's Day!
Karna!